Hey everybody, how are you? Somebody's echoing in somebody's that's you, Ty? I think so. Yeah, I could hear myself.
What should I do?
Get your headset.
Get my headset?
Yeah.
Excuse me, y'all.
So, I am. Wait, let me wait till she can. I can hear her. Oh, let me see if I can do this. So we're going to be talking about the Tekashi situation with giving trying to give $200,000 to No Kids, the charity, and them rejecting it. And why? So the question is to the population. We know the answer because we're nonprofit consultants, and Ty will be right back with us. But we know the answer to the question, and we know why they rejected it. But I know there's a lot of talk about the fact that they should have taken the money because all money is good money. Well, really and truly, is all money good money? Daphine, you want to weigh in?
Well, we know. I always say all money is not good money. We know that, and I do think that nonprofits, especially those starting out, and even just those that have been in existence for a while, I think one thing that we really don't look at is that when we go for contracts, when we go for funding in general, is all money good money? And when you accept those funds, what are you tying yourself to? And I think that that's the one thing that we really don't discuss. We get those donors, we get those donations, and of course, we know that in today's age, $200,000 can do a lot, for especially for a smaller organization. But do you attach yourself to that $200,000? What are you truly attaching yourself to? And I think that that's the overall question when that needs to be responded to. Of course, I have other, things, that I could say about it.
Say it, girl.
Say it. That's why we're here. Say it.
I do think that in hindsight that on both sides, a lot of things were missed in all of this. And I do think that there are some pieces that could have been considered outside of the fact of rejecting the donation or attaching themselves to it. I think there's some education that could have been done on his part, their part, and even they could have took it even a little further and even looked at the fact, or even I don't know if it was a conversation even had that people do change and people are wanting to change and what that looks like. For him. So like I said, I think that, just rejecting it. And we don't know if those conversations were had or not,
Right.
But, but the overall question is, as we say, is all money good money? And when you attach yourself to somebody who gives or to somebody who's giving to you, or even if you accept a contract from somebody, what does that look like for your organization? What are you attaching to your brand? And that is ultimately what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I agree with that to a certain extent. With why am I still echoing? I don't think so. That's weird. But okay, wait. So I agree to a certain extent, but I also think that even if those conversations were had, considering that he just got out of prison and that he went online and he made a big ta-da about, him being a snitch and which is a big thing for a lot of people, and that he really didn't care about what he did, to me doesn't show that there's change being had or wanting to be had at this point in time. Now, I agree that definitely he could change, and people can change, and people should be allowed to change, but he has not exhibited that in the week that he's been out of prison. I'm gonna turn you guys back on.
Yeah, so
I agree with that one. I do agree with that. I truly agree with that. And as I said, maybe that is something that they could have planned for like further down the line, and maybe it's not even an immediate thing. But and I agree, with him broadcasting, what he's done, how he's done it, and the fact that he doesn't care, that does put some negativity on his reputation, and then again who he gets attached to as well.
Agree. Ty.
Yeah. Am I the echoing person?
Probably.
I am. I don't know why.
I'm gonna turn mine off. Okay.
Still good. But anyway, yeah, I totally agree with both of you. I think that his team probably should have looked more into No Kid Hungry, because if your new platform is that you've been redeemed or whatever it is, you're trying to create a clean slate, there are plenty of organizations out there that have that same type of mission, and those organizations would probably have been more accepting of your donation. Also, you want to make sure, and I know people are like, well, all money is money, y'all need to take the money because nonprofits are struggling anyway. That doesn't mean anything. You have, and I was mentioning to you guys before we got on, you have the group of people that you serve. They're going to want the stuff. They're going to want it because it's free, because it's cheap. If you're feeding the kids and they're hungry, they're going to come and get the food, right? But that has nothing to do with Tekashi, nothing at all. Because whoever you're associated with in your organization, that says a lot about your brand, a lot about your image, a lot about your core values. And if the organization does not want that to be a representation of them, they should not accept the funds, period. You see on a lot of grant applications, they'll ask you, who else is supporting your cause, who else is donating to your mission, who else is, funding this program. And you list things like that, right? And people can see who gave to you. If I'm donating to your cause and I'm not with racketeering or whatever it is that he had going on, I don't want to associate with your brand. There's too many stories right now of people giving or people being contributors to organizations, and then 10 years down the line, some scandal comes up and they go, oh, don't support that organization because this person is one of their major contributors. You don't want to be caught up in that kind of stuff. And a lot of minority organizations, and I'm just gonna go and put it out here like this, because we're on real talk, right? We're kind of desperate. And so we're in this organization, this No Kid Hungry, they're not desperate. I've been to drive-through since we've been in COVID-19. They're doing a lot of COVID. This is for COVID response. You'll see the No Kid Hungry sign. You go to Taco Bell, they'll ask you if you want to give $1 for no kid. So they know what they're doing. The $200,000 did not hurt them at all. You got celebrities, you got everybody's giving money to them, right? But our organizations, for the most part, minority organizations, are so very desperate that we're willing to accept any dollar. Doesn't matter where the dollar comes from. And we're not thinking about the sustainability of our organizations. We're not thinking about our brand. And that branding is very, very important. Your brand image is very, very important. There's certain things that you don't want to tie your organization to. Now, again, like I was saying, if your organization is one of those organizations that's, is about redemption, about transition, and about changing your life and all that kind of stuff, it would be a better fit. So if I was on his team, I would say, hey, let's look at some of these other organizations. If you just want to give, let's look at some organizations that serve people who are coming out of prison. Let's look at some of these organizations who are helping men to become better men or whatever. And this is what you're wanting to do. This is your new platform. This is the new image that you're trying to create. So let's give to them. You just don't jump on the first organization that's asking for money because that's the popular organization at the time. They're very popular right now. They got grants out right now for COVID response. Everybody's giving to them. So you want to be into the mix as well. This is not where you fit right now. That's how I see it.
So one of the things I think too is if he really wanted to give back and he wanted to support, there are many ways that you can give back. So if that organization shut him down, he can do it himself. You don't have to be a nonprofit unless you're just looking for the tax write-off, which is the other thing, right? You can have something on social media. You have what, 35 million followers or whatever it is on social media. You have a lot of people that are following you who need the money. Have a giveaway, have some type of a contest that you can give this money away to people who need it. Have some types of checks and balances, but it does not have to be this particular organization. Literally, this $200,000 could cost this organization millions of dollars had they taken the money from Tekashi 6ix9ine. Because like Ty said, there are other organizations who may give to them or want to give to them in the future who are going to pull out from doing that because they do not want their brand associated with Tekashi 6ix9ine and what he represents as a person. We're not even talking about second chances, because if anybody listened to his live that he did on Instagram, he don't sound like he's looking for a second chance. And this is not to crap all over him. I do believe that everybody deserves a second chance and can get a second chance, but that's not what he's about right now. This was, to me, a publicity stunt. This was a PR stunt gone wrong. And now he's wanting to crap on the organization because the organization stood firm in their mission and their values and said, no, we don't want this money. There are other organizations out there who may be more desperate, who do serve kids and would want to take it, but they know what branding is about. They understand what values are about. They understand their mission, and they don't want their mission associated with that. So I'm going to put myself on mute, and then you guys can come in.
Okay. I think, like you said, I think he should have just taken some time and really just thought about his level of giving, if that was his focus. If it was a publicity stunt, of course, then hey, we know he probably got the response that he wanted. He wanted some publicity, so he got it. But truly, if he was really at the point of wanting to give, I think that even in response to how he responded to this point, to them not accepting his donation, I think that in itself I think he should have thought about that a little bit more too. Because if you are about change and you want to give, or you're trying to, do something a little different than the way you were doing it before, then I think that he should have taken sometimes an opportunity and his team to actually look at what that looks like, and to fully develop a plan of action. And truthfully, if it was all about giving, he could have gave it anonymously. He could have had his assistant, Sasha or whoever, give the donation, and they would have never known who it came from. But I think it was more about being attached to something that was, in public eye. So like I said, because people give anonymous donations all the time, and people don't know who they're from. We do know that it could be from the mafia. Nobody knows, but the mafia is not trying to get attention attached to their donations either. So I think so. If he's really trying to do better, there are different ways to go about doing it. If he wants to focus that $200,000, on a project or something, like you say, he could do one himself. And like Ty said as well, there are many other organizations that he can give to, and he doesn't have to have his name attached to it if that's the focus.
And and I mean, I think for nonprofits have to realize that this is business. It's not personal. It's like it's not. They don't like Tekashi. That's not what the thing is. This is about making sure that their business continues to operate according to their values. Has nothing to do with this individual. I mean, everybody may like him and say, hey, let's give him a second chance. They may listen to his music. They may buy his whatever. iTunes or however they do this nowadays. I don't know, but they may support him. They may do that, but this is about the business. It's not about, oh, they don't like him because he's a black dude trying to get, I mean, and there's this stuff that you hear in the air, right? Oh, he's a black dude trying to give money. There, if he was another color, they'd take it. I'm just Tracy, we're real talk. I can say this, right? We can say, that's not the situation. The situation is that they're trying to protect their image, which somebody should have gotten to him before now to help him protect his. You know, I had this conversation. Me and my daughter talked about this because she follows these people. I'm like, who are these folk with all these colors and stuff? You know, she's 17, and she's like, well, they should have taken one. No, this is a lesson for him. You know, if you want to put a personal spin on it, it's a lesson for him to straighten up. If you want to be associated with cleaner things, then you may have to straighten up a little bit. You may have to walk a little bit more straight to get accepted into certain places. You know, like Daphne said, you have, you know, the mafia. You got people donating, you don't even know who they are. So if you want to just give it. We don't have to know who you are, especially if you're trying to connect with brands that have a cleaner image. So you just have to know where to go. Your team should have done a better job, you know, of connecting you with these people. I'm around organizations all the time who do second chances, you know, and things like that. They would have taken your contribution, but it has to be like that story behind it. So you can't just come on Instagram and say, you know, I don't care, because that you contradict your story. So what's the purpose behind your giving? What is this about? You know, if you're just you just got out of jail, you're trying to, you know, create a new person. I think he signed with Rock Nation or somebody just recently, just when he got out of jail. So maybe he's trying to clean up, but then you got to make sure whoever is advising him has to make sure that if you're going to be on the right path, you stay on the right path. Do this next year. Do it 6 months from now, and when you look better, and then they may accept you, but you want to make sure that when you're a nonprofit organization, and I'm talking to folk out here who are looking for money, who are wishing that, you know, I wish somebody just gave us $200,000. You got to make sure that your brand is tight, and that whatever piece of money you accept feeds the development of your brand. If you can fall apart, you can ruin your organization with this $200,000 and never get another dime again, because you associated yourself with the wrong image. You don't want that. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I stated before, you know, it's all about brand identity, and every nonprofit organization has a mission, vision, and value, just like a regular business, but they have a lot more to lose than a regular business, because they're depending on the rest of the community to support them. And if your potential donors or your current donor pool are not excited about Tekashi 6ix9ine and the things that he's done and what he represents, they will pull their donations. So that, again, that $200,000 can potentially cost you millions of dollars in donations and current sponsors, companies, organizations that probably sponsor your galas or whatever else you're having, that will be like, oh, I'm sorry, we had a change in our funding availability, and we can no longer fund your organization's fundraising event. And they don't have to tell you they pulled out because of your association with Tekashi 6ix9ine. They just will pull out, and you're left wondering, okay, like, what did we do? You know? So all money is not good money. As much as we want to say that, it's just not good money. And in my personal opinion, I think No Kids Hungry did the right thing by not taking the money. It is not mission centered. And if you listen to any of us at any point in time, we're all about, you have to stay on mission. What is your brand identity? What do you stand for? What is your ultimate goal? Their ultimate goal is not prison reform. Like Ty said, he could have gone to an organization that is a second chance organization. There are tons of them out here. That's a second chance organization whose mission is prison reform, is giving back, helping people who came out of prison to transform their lives. That would have been more suited for that $200,000. And maybe that's where he needs to send the money if it's truly about giving and not about getting more press, which I don't understand why he would need more press anyways, but I don't know. Who wants to talk?
Or just feed the kids. I think one of you guys said it already. If you just want to feed the hungry kids, he can feed my kids. They probably hungry right now. Cause I ain't cooked lunch yet. Like I ain't made no lunch. But if you just want to feed the kids, just feed the kids. Okay, that's why you make a big deal of it. Look at Will Smith's son. He goes out with the little thing. He had like the little RV thing that he went out and fed the homeless on the street or whatever. I can't remember what he was doing, but out of his own pocket, just kind of parking there and making sure they had something. And celebrities do that kind of stuff all the time. So if you just got $200,000 and you want to feed hungry kids, go out into the community and feed them.
Our LI is asking, but what's the priority? Feeding the kids or worrying about who's giving it? Yes, I'm sure part of this has to do with him cleaning up his image, but those kids don't care about that. Trust me. Okay. And I do get what you're saying, but it is about, the saying, there's a saying, give a man a fish and he has food right now, teach him to fish and he has food forever. It's kind of the same thing. Yes, they could have taken the $200,000 and feed the kids right now. But if it ruins your brand image, if it ruins your existing relationships with other people, other organizations that have been given to your organization all this time, then that $200,000 is where it's going to stop. You're not going to get any more money beyond that. It's going to be hard for you. And unless Tekashi 6ix9ine is going to bankroll the organization, they did not want to take the risk of associating themselves with Tekashis 6ix9ine and then not getting the support. And I'm almost certain, because this is a big organization. So I don't know the organization personally. Like I haven't spoken to anyone at the organization, but I would think that before they denied the money, they spoke to their stakeholders, they spoke to their board of directors, and they spoke to some of their bigger supporters. And that is probably the feedback that they got and why they made the decision that they were not going to take the money. So it's not as simple as it seems. It may seem simple, but it's a more complicated situation. In your business, you can go ahead and decide whether or not you want to take the money and be like, yes, $200,000, who's turning that down? I'm taking that. But the only person you have to be accountable to is yourself and your potential clients. And you probably don't care about your potential clients because you got $200,000 in your pocket right now. But the nonprofit has to think about the bigger picture. They have to think about donors. They have to think about sponsors. And those people are going to hold them accountable to the decisions that they make and the monies that they take and who they take that money from.
Completely agree with everything you just said. And I agree with you. I mean, the kids don't care where the money came from because they want to eat. That's the bottom line for the kids. But for the organization, they have to look beyond today. They have to look for sustainability of their organization. And I mean, like I mentioned before, we've all seen social media posts of certain people supporting certain brands and we don't like those people, right? And then we go, oh, I'll never buy anything from this place again because this person supports them, or I'll never go to Macy's again because Donald Trump, whatever. You've done that as an individual. So you think about that on a bigger scale where you have people who are pouring in tons of money. I'm not to just downgrade to $200,000, but there are other celebrities out there and there's other donors that are giving way more than $200,000 in support of No Kids Hungry, right? So what if we lose them because they are not comfortable with him being a part of what we're doing? You have to make a decision. You have to make executive decisions when you're running large organizations like that. And I mean, even when you're a small organization and you're trying to develop, starting at ground zero, you got to make these same kind of decisions because it comes back to haunt you. Y'all have seen it all happen before. It comes back, oh, so-and-so supported them, or so-and-so, the KKK gave them $1 million, to do, really, seriously. And then you'll have people in the community go, oh, I can't support them because these people supported them, so I can't do that. You have to think beyond that. Now, the kids are going to eat. The kids are going to eat regardless because this organization is very well branded. They're very well established. They know what they're doing. They're mission focused, and they know how not to deviate outside of their mission just for the dollar. It actually says a lot about them, in my opinion. It says a lot about them. It says a lot about how they care for their population because they're not willing to associate their population with just anybody and anything.
I completely agree. Daphne, did you want to say something? Daphne, did you? I think Daphne's frozen. Yeah. So I mean, that's basically what we wanted to get on here and talk about because we wanted to clear up and I know the organization has been vilified at this point in time. We wanted to kind of explain why the organization made the decision that they made. And I know I've read enough comments under my personal comment in a lot of nonprofit groups that we're in, and everybody, I would have taken the money. Oh my God, yes. You know, like everybody's like $200,000. Heck yeah, I'm gonna take it. And I understand that too, you know, especially if your organization is struggling. But that's one of the things we talk about all the time. Your organization really should not be in struggle mode, because you should be doing things to make sure that your organization stays out of struggle mode. But it's easy when you're in a struggling situation to just jump on it and take it and not think about the bigger picture. But this organization is not struggling, and they had time to, I'm sure, consult with their board, consult with their stakeholders, and make an informed decision that they did not want their brand to be associated with Tekashi 6ix9ine and his antics. So that's kind of my take on it. Daphne, Ty, want to say anything before we leave?
Yeah, I did just freeze for a minute. I don't know what happened. But in response to the one question that was presented in regards to you know, what were they really worried about? The truth of the matter is that they have the funds to where they could actually consider beyond that $200,000, and that's the truth. You know, they have those funds available for them to do what it is that they need to do, and I think that's the ultimate question for a lot of issue with a lot of smaller organizations that are actually questioning their decision. And that's the truth. They had the funds to be able to say, you know what, that $200,000 it ain't gonna make us, but it may break us, kind of thing. So, and they had to make a decision. You know, do we take this, as you say, you know, take the time and consult the board of directors, which for you smaller organizations, that is something that you should do. You know, when you get those major donations, have those conversations with your board in response in regards to what you're accepting and who you're accepting it from. You know, whether it's contracts, grants, or donations. You know, just a little tip there. But in this regard, it is far beyond just actually doing something for the community. It is a branding issue. It is a whole, you know, do we lose what we have just based off of this one decision that we make? And we all know that, and look at endorsements, you know, how athletes lose endorsements just based off of one decision. It's kind of the same thing. So.
Oh, well, I don't have anything. I think that's Daphne, Tracy. I think we all kind of agree here that they did the right thing. You know, just coming from a consultant seat, Daphne, as you were saying, most small struggling nonprofits, they kind of won't get it. You know, they're like $200,000, $100,000, $1,000, $100. Somebody give us the money, right? Somebody we because we're struggling over here. But when you can get into that position where you're not struggling so much, you can decide without it really even mattering. We can pass up this $200,000 or whatever, but at the same time, knowing that you are building, the small nonprofits, you are building, you are trying to establish that brand identity. You're trying to be a No Kids Hungry, right? You're trying to be in the position where you can say, "Oh, we don't need this $200,000." You're trying to get there, so you want to diversify your funding efforts. You want to do that so that you're not so down on your luck that any dollar that comes through, you need to take it, right? That's what you want to do first and foremost. You want to make sure you got funds coming in, so you can make that decision. Oh, we don't need this because we don't want to associate with this. If you're having a youth organization and you're trying to teach your kids, to stay out of prison, you're trying to teach them leadership skills, you're trying to teach them responsibility. This dude got out of prison last week and he's still not talking in a positive light, and you take the money. What is that doing to what kind of influence is that going to give to the kids that you are serving? Are you changing your outcomes of what you're trying to teach your kids? Because these things that you have to understand, that everything that you do is supposed to be around the support of your mission. Everything, every action you take, every dollar you bring in has to uphold your mission. So if your mission is, I get so many youth, and definitely you can speak on this. Everybody want to be a youth mentor program, right? Everybody want to do youth empowerment and youth development and all this kind of stuff. So you're telling me that my kid is going to be in your program. You're over here talking about you teaching him how to tie his tie and how to go to the job interview and how to not cuss and how to not smoke blunts on the Instagram. And did I say that? Yeah. but you teach them that, right? And then you got this donor who comes along with $200,000 who, just by the image of him, and I don't know him as a person because this may be just his stage presence. I don't know. There's a lot of rappers and stuff out there that he's like, okay, this is what I do for work. So I look like this for my job. And I walk around with the gun for my job and whatever. And that's not them as a person, but I don't know that. That's the image that they put forth. So that's what I'm taking. And for these kids, they're very impressionable. And that's what they think is real life. And it may not be the real life. And he may have suffered in prison and he may really be sorry about whatever he did in the past. And he really want to make up for that. But how do I tell my 11-year-old that, don't worry about that. He gave us $200,000 and we're still going to empower you. We're still going to teach you how to be better. But this is our major donor right here. It doesn't make sense.
Very true. And we both know that we see a lot of comments in a lot of the groups that we're in, where a lot of nonprofit organizations, especially smaller minority-owned nonprofit organizations, are always talking about how hard it is for them to get monies from other organizations because they don't trust them. This is part of that trust factor. Okay, because I'm sure when you were growing up, you heard you were known by the company that you keep. Here you go. Okay, this is being known by the company you keep. Couldn't kids send a message but redeem a second chance by accepting it? No. There is so many orgs that would have loved. Right, that's what we said. There are other organizations that would have loved and accepted his money. This is just not the right organization. Any organization that is a transition home or a second chance program or a prison reform type program, that is where that $200,000 should go, is in that type of organization, not for the No Kids Left Hungry organization. Their mission does not align with his brand. It's about branding, it's about mission, it's a bigger picture than just $200,000. And that is what I think a lot of people are missing. It is a way bigger picture. I know you guys want to weigh in, so I'm going to mute myself.
I wanted to say, because their message is not about redemption. That's not their message. They could send a message about redemption, but that's not their message. So their message is about feeding kids. That's all. we want to eradicate this. We don't want to have any starving kids across the nation. This is what we do. This is what I've applied for several of their COVID relief grant. So I know that's the only thing they're worried about. Like that's what they don't care that you've been redeemed and washed in the blood. That's not their that's not their thing. They want to feed folk. So if your message needs for them, you need for that message to be something else. They're not willing to do that. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. And they're very focused in their brand. They're very focused with their message. So even stepping out and say, oh, we gave him a second chance. You're wavering. You're going over there now. That's not where they want to be. They want to be right here. They want to feed the hungry. That's what they want to do. If you want to redeem, you want to jump onto somebody that's redeeming, you need to go somewhere else and give. And I think that his team and him, should have looked more into that. If you just want to get out and redeem yourself and be a better man and give away some money, maybe you should support this. Or if, sometimes people give because there's something, they have a heart connection to the situation. So if he's really, really concerned about kids not eating and, that's something that's dear to his heart, he should have done that on his own. Or had a conversation with this organization. Hey, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm trying to learn more about your organization. I tell my people all the time, even when you're looking for grants, do some research of the organization. Find out what their core values are. Find out what what they look like, what they support and what they don't support. And if you're not on the same page, don't go out to them for a grant. Why would you do that? If you're trying to do if you don't want your kid, your people smoking, you're trying to get them healthy, why are you going to Philip Morris? Why are you going to, just because they're giving out money? That's the tobacco industry. Why would you do that? If you're anti pharmaceutical companies and you don't like drugs, why would you go to Gilead Pharmaceuticals for a grant? Just because they have the grant money. All money is not good money because all money does not tie into your mission. And this is why I think a lot of our minority organizations miss the mark. I think that's where we miss it at so much, because we're looking for funding in places that don't fit us. We're looking for donors who are not really connected to our cause, or who are not wanting to be associated with our brand. And the brand that we're giving out, the brand image that we're giving out. And we're all over the place because we accept the money from everywhere. Because we're like, oh, we're going to take some money from Tekashis 6ix9ine. We're going to take some from Snoop Dogg. We're going to take some. We're going to take money from everywhere because we don't know. We're just looking for money, right? And we do the same thing when we're looking for grant money. We're doing the same thing. It's getting to be kind of crazy, right? We're doing the same thing when we're fundraising. We'll fundraise for this today. Tomorrow we're looking for elderly support. The next day we're looking to do youth programs. We just looking for money everywhere. And then when somebody comes along who is serious about giving some money, who is focused about a certain brand image, they don't know that they can give us some money because they don't even know what our brand is, because we're just going with everybody. And that's why we look. And that's why we're talking about we can't get no money because we all over the place. And we get money from everybody. So, we just look like a mixed up Rubik's Cube. We just doing everything.
I agree. But as you say, that's the education piece, because when you go after funding and when you're looking for donations, I think that a lot of times we just go after what's available. We don't take time to do the research to actually go after those grants, target those funders that are geared towards our mission. And I don't think that sometimes that smaller organizations even know that they should be doing that. That you should actually take the time and do that research, or work with somebody who's actually going to research those organizations and those funders that are actually geared towards your mission. That way you can actually receive those funds that you need. You have a better chance of receiving those funds that you need versus just going after, as I say, throwing up the money in the air and then to fall down and maybe $1 hits your bank account. You know what I'm saying? But that's what we do. And we do that. We have GoFundMe's, and we have, we're doing walks and doing all types of fundraisers that don't match our mission. And people, and we not even know that we should be doing fundraisers and things that match our mission. Why are you having a walk? What's the purpose of the walk that you're doing? You know, or you just walking just to say you got some miles in, you know, or you're doing a health related organization and you're walking, you know, heart related issues, you know, so walking is good for the heart. That's why they do a walk, you know, or you doing um a biking event, or you just, you know, or you doing toy drives just to say you did one, or you doing, you know, school supply drives because everybody else is doing school supplies, you know, or you're not focused on education. You're not even focused on giving family their the supplies that they need or things like that. So everybody's doing a school supply drive, so we're gonna do one too. But does that actually go with your mission? You know, does it actually fit in what you're doing? So I think that a lot of times we need to look at our smaller organizations, need to look at does what we do and what we accept and how we function actually go with the mission of our organization and our core values and everything else. And that's ultimately what it boils down to.
I agree 100%. And if you guys learned anything from us today, is that you need to stay on mission. If you work in your mission, everything in your organization is going to be fine. But you have to stay on mission, and you have to be a little bit more concerned about your brand image as a nonprofit organization, because your money doesn't come in like a for-profit organization. So you'll hear a lot of people who are in for-profit tell you, oh my God, take the money, take the money. Why are you not taking the money? You are not a for-profit, you're a nonprofit. Your money is a little funny. Okay. And you don't answer to yourself, you answer to the IRS. Okay. So, and you answer to your donors, and you answer to sponsors, and you answer to the community, because at the end of the day, like we've always said, it is not your nonprofit, it belongs to the community at large, right? You don't own it. So if the people in your community don't like who you're getting your money from, guess what? They're going to stop supporting your organization. And that's my 2 cents on this whole situation. And Daphne and Ty, you know, thank you for joining me today. We always talk behind the scenes anyway. I just wanted everybody to get a good perspective from not only myself, but two other consultants that I hold dear to my heart, and I know they know their stuff, and they're gonna come on here and give you the raw, unadulterated truth. So, all right, thanks guys. Bye-bye.